I don't know if someone's going to use it, but I think it's sort of petty. At the same time, you want to make sure that people respect the rules, but I don't think the line will really help at that point. I think it's more about respecting each other and all do it as a small community. Jay Will back with us. Stephen A., my sisters used to say to me, they were older than me, snitches get stitches, and it haunted me, and I blame them for a lot of the problems I have today. But I will start with you. This snitching thing, is it a big deal or no big deal?
Well, to me, it's a big deal only from this perspective. First of all, I completely coincide with that thinking in practically every way. It ain't about snitching, but this is the exception. No, snitch away. Snitch away. You know, Max uses terminologies like, you know, I'm sorry, Max, if I butcher it, but, you know, whatever you're going to do is stops it, punch it, and connect it with my nose or whatever the hell you say. Bottom line is this. Excuse me, if you go outside the bubble, then you come back in the bubble and you can contaminate people around you. Now, I'm not about snitching when it's you living your life and you are doing harm to yourself. But if you're endangering me and everybody else around because you want to violate the safety protocols of the bubble, you damn right they should snitch on you. You're absolutely correct. I mean, Rudy Gobert obviously, contributed to Donovan Mitchell getting it, albeit unintentional, and all of that other stuff. We get all of that. A plethora of other players. I mean, Russell Westbrook now has it. I don't know whether he was in Houston or L.A. or whatever, but he got it. Listen, he wasn't out there practicing irresponsible behavior or anything like that, but nevertheless, somehow, some way, you contracted this thing. You don't know how you can contract it. So as a result of that, anything you do is not just endangering you, it's endangering other players, other people, and most important, and just as important, you're jeopardizing the season. The season could get canceled if all of a sudden they get ravaged with a bunch of positive COVID-19 tests because you wanted to go out there and get loose, or you wanted to go out there and get a sandwich or something like that. Hell yeah, I'm telling. Absolutely. This is the one time in my life that I completely and wholeheartedly support and endorse snitching. Snitch away. Under no other circumstances, in my estimation, but certainly in this circumstance, hell yeah, snitch away.
I suspect all of us see this the same way. I completely support the NBA players snitching. Stephen A., you brought up the right to swing your fist ends at my nose, right? Like libertarianism, which has been in the news the last decade or so a lot. I understand that philosophically, right? Like, hey, I'm going to swing my fist. If it doesn't hit you in the nose, we're good. Like, you have to live with other people in a society, so you can't just swing your fist if it hits someone else in the nose. But the question that we negotiate is, how close to the nose can you come? There's a gray area. Wait a minute, that makes me feel uncomfortable. It's coming a little close. Hey, I still haven't hit you in the nose, right? In this case, if you don't snitch, what you're saying is, you have the right to swing your fist, and it doesn't end at my nose, or that other person's nose, or that person's nose, or their parents' or grandparents' nose. The entire point of very strict protocols during a pandemic is not just the risk you're willing to take, it's the risk you expose others to. So again, the player can say, well, I don't care if I get it, or if we spread it amongst each other. Yeah, okay, fine, that's your prerogative, I guess. But if it spreads, if there's no contact tracing in the absence of a vaccination, and it spreads, now you're endangering the lives of people who are most vulnerable, the elderly and people with underlying conditions, etc. So in this case, snitching is a good thing, and furthermore, we also agree it's even self-interested, even for the player who's being snitched on. It's in their best interest. Because if everyone's strict, and you know how it is, if you're in a bubble for a long time, human nature, you're sitting in your room, well, I know the rules apply to everyone, but maybe they don't apply to me right now, because how much harm can I really do? And that player may be right. This is just one-on-one spread or whatever it is. But unless there's incentive for everyone to be strict about it, everyone's going to feel that way. How much harm am I going to really do? And then the whole thing collapses because they're going to have to cancel the season. So in order to pull this thing off, which is still fraught I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's still fraught. Players are going to have to self-regulate, and I hate to say it, if they must snitch, then they must.
I'm with you, Max. Self-regulation is everything here, and it was trending yesterday on Twitter. CP3 was trending, and they had him standing outside with the whistle. I'll be outside with the whistle too. I'll be blowing out on people because it's not just the other players that potentially you are jeopardizing to contacting this. It's the trainers, it's the staff, it's the head coaches. We know some of the coaches there are a little bit older and might be more predispositioned to something like this. It's some of the GMs, some of the owners that might be there as well. You're just not jeopardizing your team. You're jeopardizing the health potentially of a lot of people. And, Steve Kerr, I think, was on the podcast I was listening to one time. I'm not sure if it was a podcast or an article where he was talking about, hey, these next 2.5, 3 months are going to test the mental toughness, the mental fortitude of a lot of young individuals. Not just playing basketball in the bubble and winning a championship, but abiding by the rules. Now, S.A., you made multiple comments on this show about will people be mentally strong enough to stay away from some of the outside influences. Influences is the word that I'm using. There have been things out there on social media about people on DMs and things of that sort, about numbers being passed out and who can get into the bubble and who can't. Like, this is ultimately going to test the mental fortitude of a lot of young individuals who, look, I made mistakes when I was younger. A lot of us have. We all make mistakes every single day. But now, when you face that intersection of mistake, it forces everybody to have a conversation with themselves saying, what am I jeopardizing here by thinking through this? And if you have the action or the opportunity to tell on what somebody who is jeopardizing the health of teammates and other people and your chances of winning a championship, I'm doing that. It's the time to do that right now. And I praise people that do step out there and do that because I think it's important.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.